Noam Chomsky was born in Philadelphia to immigrant Russian parents, both of whom were Hebrew scholars and teachers. A child of the Great Depression, Chomsky's political consciousness developed early. He saw women strikers being beaten outside a textile factory and rag sellers peddling their pitiful wares door to door in his neighborhood. To 10-year-old Chomsky, the 1930s were a time of political activism, debate, and great fear of Hitler conquering Europe. He said, "I saw the world as a frightening, complicated place." Noam has always been interested in politics and said that politics brought him to the linguistics field. Chomsky made his reputation in linguistics. He learned some of the historical principles from his father, William, who was a Hebrew scholar. In fact, some of his early research, which he did for his master's, was on the modern spoken Hebrew language. Among his many accomplishments, he is most famous for his work on generative grammar, which developed from his interest in modern logic and mathematical foundations. As a result, he applied it to the description of natural languages. As a student, Noam was heavily influenced by Zelig Harris, who was a professor of linguistics at the University of Pennsylvania, which he attended. It was Chomsky's sympathy to Harris's political views that steered him towards work as a graduate student in linguistics. His political tendencies towards socialism and anarchism are a result of what he calls the radical Jewish community in New York. Since 1965, he has become one of the leading critics of U.S. foreign policy. He published a book of essays called American Power and the New Mandarins, which is considered to be one of the most substantial arguments ever against American involvement in Vietnam. Chomsky's criticism of U.S. governmental policies has continued since that time. The Deterring Democracy, and in other books that he focused on trade and economic issues, accuses the government of being a rogue superpower. He says, "I'm a citizen of the United States, and I have to share responsibility for what it does. I'd like to see it act in ways that meet decent moral standards. It's one of the little value to criticize the crimes of someone else, though you should do it and tell the truth. I have no influence over the policies of other countries, but a certain degree over the policies of the U.S. It's not a matter of exception, but of aspiration." Chomsky also has a wide range of political interest. An early and outspoken critic of the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War and an opponent of the Iraq War, he has written extensively on many political issues from a generally left-wing point of view. Among his political writings are American Power and the New Mandarins, Peace from the Middle East, Manufacturing Consent, Profit Over People, Rogue States, and Failed States. Chomsky's controversial bestseller 9/11 is an analysis of the World Trade Center attack that, while denouncing the atrocity of the event, traces its origins and actions and the power of the United States. Chomsky has stated that his personal visions are fairly traditional anarchist ones, with origins in the Enlightenment and classic liberalism, and he has praised libertarian socialism. He is a sympathizer of anarcho-syndicalism and a member of the IWW Union. He has published a book on anarchism titled Chomsky on Anarchism, which was published in the Anarchist Book Collection, AK Press, in 2006. Chomsky has been engaged in political activism all of his adult life and expressed opinions in politics and world events which are widely cited, publicized, and discussed. Chomsky has in turn argued that his views are those which the powerful do not want to hear, and for that reason he is considered an American political descendant. He is very critical of the American capitalist system and big business. He describes himself as a libertarian socialist. He believes that libertarian socialist values exemplify the rational and moral consistent extension of original, unreconstructed, classical, liberal, and radical humanist ideas to an industrial context. Specifically, he believes that society should be highly organized and based on democratic control of communities and workplaces. He believes that the radical humanist ideas of the two major influences, Bertrand Russell and John Dewey, were rooted in the Enlightenment and classical liberalism and retain their revolutionary character. Chomsky has stated that he believes the United States remains the greatest country in the world, a comment that he later clarified by saying, "Evaluating countries is senseless, and that I would never put things on those terms, but that some of America's advances, particularly in the area of free speech, that have been achieved by centuries of popular struggle, are to be admired." He has also said in many respects the United States is the freest country in the world. I don't just mean in terms of limits on state coercion, though it's true too, but also in terms of individual relations. The United States comes closer to classlessness in terms of interpersonal relations than virtually any society. Noam Chomsky also had an interview with Youth Concern. They asked, "A linguist is a person who deals with theoretical things. Did this affect you in your attitude toward technology, since usually people whose profession is connected to language don't have a good relationship with technology, and what is this attitude? Is technology good or bad in your opinion?" He said, "I happen not to be much involved with technology, though I've been in a research lab of electronics for 45 years. That's just personal. Other linguists, including in my department, are deeply involved with technology, ranging from computers to neural imaging. Life offers a lot of things to awaken one's interest. Is technology good or bad? In general, the question has no answer."